Well, good morning everyone. As you can see, it's absolutely soaking wet and I have hill reps today. Because it's so wet, I've got the GoPro in a waterproof housing and that pretty much renders any kind of sound at the time completely useless. So got no sound from the ride, but just going to do a bit of narration. As I said, soaking wet, so sorry for all the blurry bits on the lens. And yet again I managed to forget to start the timer on my watch so that I knew how long I had to go. So I'd done a couple of reps before I started the timer. So this is the hill that I've done before. It was soaking wet, as you can see, so I really didn't fancy going somewhere far afield. It's a pretty good hill to test on. There's little to no traffic really, and there's a nice little loop back again. It's of moderate steepness, but it's not too long, so it gives me a chance to recover in between, which, believe me, I really need. So I decided to use this opportunity to do a bit of testing with my tyres. So we got wet grass, quite a steep hill. I wanted to see what traction was like. As you can see, I'm climbing up the saddle there, and there was a little bit of slippage, but really not much, and I was making good progress up that hill. And on really soaking wet grass like that, I was really impressed. Admittedly, it's quite long grass, which might be an advantage because it's kind of less muddy, but really I thought the tyres worked really well. They also gave me a pretty decent amount of grip on the tarmac as well. I mean, these kind of greasy, wet conditions, you can't expect that much from pretty much any tyre, but with the knobbles on, I didn't really feel like I was losing an awful lot in terms of grip. So overall, I was really impressed. I was having to use the brakes quite a bit on the downhill sections. I really didn't want to pick up too much speed in these kind of conditions because if I needed to stop quickly, I'd be all over the place. And I was finding that the brake levers were quite far away, which didn't make it very comfortable for me to brake. But it's possible to adjust the reach of the brake levers, and that's something I didn't know how to do at this stage. So I have subsequently adjusted those. It's really straightforward. There's plenty of information out there on YouTube, and they're a lot more comfortable now to grip because I don't have particularly large hands. I was also testing out the jacket that I've got, and I wanted to see how waterproof it is, and as you can see from the fact that it's sticking to my arms, it's not waterproof. It might be fine in a light shower, but anything more than that, any kind of sustained rain, forget it. It's good for wind, but nothing much more. So I decided that it was time to swap out the wind jacket and put something properly waterproof on. Now this is actually a full waterproof hiking jacket. I was a bit worried about using it for cycling because I wasn't sure how well it would breathe, and I was worried that it would just turn into a sauna inside the jacket and I'd be really uncomfortable. But in fact it was pretty much okay. I left it well ventilated at the front, shall we say. I didn't zip it all the way up, and it was an awful lot more comfortable than having a soggy jacket sticking to you. So I managed pretty much the full 45 minutes. I'll stick some stats up on the screen, and I'm pretty pleased actually because I think this is the first time I went over 200 metres in climbing. But it was a really good test riding in the rain before the event because it could rain on the day. So it was great to test it on my equipment. My gloves are supposed to be water repellent, didn't really notice that they did very much, but they kept the grip on the handlebars nice and secure, so that was really worthwhile. My phone case, that was fantastic. No water on the phone whatsoever, although it's difficult to read the screen when it's wet. The top tube bag didn't let really any significant water in. That seemed to perform very well, although over a very long period of time I'm not sure how it would do. And waterproof jacket, yeah, a little bit sweaty, but nothing too bad, and definitely a big improvement on the wind jacket. So overall it was okay, and thanks very much for coming along today. Hope it was an interesting ride, and I'll be back soon. Thanks, bye.